Hello there. My name is Alicia, aka Edmiston Creations, and I am a wife, mom, social worker, and athlete living in the mountains of South Central New Mexico. And this is a space where I like to share about some of my favorite things that include knitting, sewing, sometimes working out, and what I've been up to with my family. And I also really enjoy sharing mental health practices that you can implement in your own life. Either apply them to your making or just in general if you find them helpful. So, if any of that sounds of interest to you, then please take the time to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss out on any future content. So, hi. It's good to be back and recording again. I since I last recorded, we have moved into a rental house, and this is a month-to-month rental, which is a more stable situation. So we are now in this house until we will be able to move back home. And I'm very grateful this house is set up more so for like longer term stay and everything. And so it's just nice to not feel like we have to move every 2 to 3 weeks to a new place. And we're still living out of suitcases, but we can kind of put things away in drawers and things like that. So it just has a more stable feel all around, all over all around. So I'm very grateful for that. I also attended the Flock Fiber Festival this year, and I had a wonderful time. So now I'm back. The kids are starting school and in school. I have a preschooler and a kindergartner, and it's been so strange having both of them in school, but strange, but also good at the same time. So good for them, and I think also good for me in different ways. So anyway, that's kind of just a little general overview of what I've been up to. In today's episode, my plan is to share with you all about the Nebula sweater and the Lawrence dress, which I'm wearing right now, and also the elements of what goes into drawing me into making multiples of a pattern, whether it's sewing or knitting. And I wanted to share a wildfire and house update with you guys. And lastly, I want to talk just a little bit about Flock and get some questions from you guys about Flock Fiber Festival. So that's where we're going to be headed today in this episode. So let's start out with the wildfire and house update. The last time that I recorded, we were in an Airbnb waiting to be able to move into this rental. And I think cleaning was either just about to start at our house or it had just started right around there. So we did have a professional smoke mitigation team that came to our home and cleaned it. That process took a little over a week and was very intense. I mean, they surface cleaned everything. I mean, from the walls to the ceiling to the floors, everything that was in drawers were pulled out. I mean, nothing went untouched. And so they cleaned everything, put everything back. They had these ionized fans that they ran in the house too for a couple of days when they in between when they were there cleaning, like overnight, they would run those fans. They pressure washed the outside of the home, and all of our workout equipment, our gym area, the patio, the kids' playground set, and toys. So everything was cleaned from top to bottom, and I was thoroughly impressed with their service. So a couple of days after they finished, we had went over to the house just to check the mail and everything, and just to see how it was. And we still are getting a really strong smoky smell throughout the house. A little bit downstairs, it's more faint, and the smell is mainly concentrated on the main level, and that's, I think, due to the fact that we left a kitchen window open. We always leave that window open, and when we evacuated, we weren't thinking about it, and we left the air conditioner running. And so the HVAC system was cleaned by the professional cleaning crew. And so even with all of that, there's still a smell. So we do think that the smoke and the soot got down into the paint on the walls, and we have a lot of cedar trim that's exposed in the house, and our contractor thinks that the cedar, soaked in the smell as well. So now our next steps are, coordinating with insurance and coordinating with our contractor to address the smell with a painting process. I mean, it's not just as straightforward, like our contractor kind of explained it to me. It's not as straightforward as just like going and like painting yourself. There are, different like coats and stuff of paint that he will, and different types of paint that he will use that are all safe to be, use on the inside of the house to seal the walls. Like he's gonna reseal the cedar trim and everything, and hopefully like that should do it. He's pretty confident that that will address the smell that's lingering in the house right now. So fingers crossed. We're feeling really hopeful at this point. The kicker is our contractor has a couple of jobs in front of us, and so he's not able to start until early October, and that's tough. We've got to wait until early October for him to start. He's got it, so he'll start and handle the inside of our house first, so we can see if that works and we can move back in, hopefully mid to late October. If he tries that and it doesn't work, then we're gonna have to look at replacing drywall and insulation in the interior of the home. But I'm really hoping it doesn't come to that. It sounds like this is going to work, and that we should be home by Halloween or right around there. Then there's exterior repairs that need to be done as well, but we can live in the house while the exterior stuff is happening. So that's the kind of the home update. We're feeling hopeful. It was deflating, I'm not gonna lie. Like when I found out it would be sometime in October that we could get home, I was really hoping September would be it. But I really listened to what it was that was, causing my frustration. I sat with that, and I think a big driver was not being able to work out the way that I want to. And now that our gym area has been cleaned and all our equipment has been cleaned and is safe to use, we can use our gym and our backyard over at the house. So that's really been a blessing. Now if, it's a workout day for me, I take the kids to school and then I just drive to our house and go to the gym and work out in the backyard. I've been able to do some snatches and some lifts over there, workouts. I worked out with my husband over there, and it was just really, really nice. Like this small little taste of home in this weird limbo we're in. And so honestly, at this point, I'll take it. I'm so happy to be able to just have access to the backyard and to my gym area, that that really feels like a life vest, that's going to help carry me through. I think the other big thing I want to definitely mention is I have enough space in this rental to be able to sew. So I have a sewing space set up and I'm able to sew, which was something I wasn't really able to do in the smaller space we had at the Airbnb before being here. So kind of being able to sew, being able to work out the way I want to. I'm feeling better. Let's just say a lot better. Um, Also, being back in town and being able to connect with friends in the area has really been a saving grace, I will say. Um, and it's been healing to be able to just consistently brush up against the feelings that come up whenever I see the burn scar at different points. The burn scar is extremely visible driving around town, and there's a lot of mixed feelings when I see it. And so just it's healing to be able to feel those things and let them come up, and just them consistently be there, because that burn scar is a part of life now. It's a part of our town until the forest regrows. And it'll take years for that to shift. So, yeah, now that we have a more clear timeline of what we can expect being displaced, it's, it's nice. It feels a lot better than whenever I was talking to you about adversity and uncertainty last episode. As far as the wildfire or natural disaster update itself, I noticed just yesterday and today that the temporary housing that has been set up at the White Mountain Sports Complex in town by Red Cross, they're breaking all of that down and taking it out. So that I take as a good sign that all the people that were displaced in the temporary housing have more permanent homes to be in, and that makes me very, very happy to see. We're still dealing with flooding issues, and if you're not familiar with living in the desert or out west, something that looks like a creek or just a ditch, even whenever it rains, can become a massive river. And so there's a couple of rivers in town, just from mountain runoff that come down into town. We don't have a lot of roads here. And so if it rains, the land from the tops of the mountain or the high mountains would absorb a lot of the rain that came down. And then we would still get kind of a rush of water that came through town and created more of a river than the little creek trickle we usually have. But with the burn scar, the land does not absorb water the same anymore. And all the water will come rushing down into town and will make a raging river that has swept buildings away and is still sweeping buildings and homes off their foundations. And it really, honestly, doesn't take a torrential downpour for that to happen. So the Army Corps of Engineers and lots of military vehicles and stuff are still in town to be able to clean that up very quickly every time it rains. Because for instance, the side of town I'm on, if it rains, I have no access by road to get to the school where my kids are during the day, if it happens to rain during school hours. And the school has a shelter in place policy to be able to, maintain safety for children and for parents. Definitely we don't want people out driving if it's very unsafe conditions. But I mean, I will tell you, it's already happened like maybe 3 times, like the shelter in place effect with flash flood warnings and things like that. I basically grab my keys and I'm out the door to the school to pick them up as soon as I get a flash flood warning, especially a flash flood emergency signal on my phone, so I can get them and get back home before the rain starts. So that's kind of the craziness that we're still dealing with, but hopefully, with the winding down of monsoon season that we have here, we're going to be getting less and less rain, and crews can like truly clean up after the flooding damage. So that's kind of the update there. If you do have any other questions about the aftermath of the South Fork and salt fires here in Ruidoso, then just feel free to ask. You can DM me or you can comment on this video. There is still a lot of need for wildfire relief. Wildfire relief links are in my Instagram bio. So if you will follow me on Instagram at Edmiston Creations, or just go to my profile and find the link, you can get to the wildfire relief efforts there if you're interested in finding out ways you can help. So yeah, that's that. We're here, and life is good. So we're all safe, and that is good. So now I want to talk some about knitting and sewing, my favorite. So today I wanted to talk more about the Nebula sweater by Andrea Mowry. I was fortunate to be able to test knit this for Andrea. And this is a design that is knit with Oh Dang DK by the Farmer's Daughter Fibers. It is brushed Surrey alpaca. Details for my project, for this one in particular, is on my Ravelry project page, which is linked in the show notes below. I love the Nebula sweater. It's got this cute high, low hem, and I do apologize for the crinkles. This is a result of hashtag suitcase life. So yeah, anyway, but I love the high-low hem on it. I used the recommended needles, got gauge with that. I knit size 3, and I have about 18 inches of positive ease in this sweater. She's a big girl, but all the cozy vibes. So I do want to put this on and show you what it looks like on the body as I continue to talk about it. I did not alternate skeins when making this sweater. I just let it ride. This is the color Lonely Bull. It is a super, super cozy sweater. And as soon as I saw how like flowy and cozy it was, I immediately thought of, a flowy, long dress to wear with it. So that's why I chose to sew a Lawrence dress to wear with this for FO pictures, for release day for this design. So I knit this to pattern, no changes. This is the 3/4 inch, 10-inch sleeve. It ends up being more of a bracelet length on me. So when I chose to knit my second one, this is in Juniper. For my sleeves, I knit them to 8 inches instead of 10. So this version actually hits me more at a 3/4 length sleeve, whereas this one is more of a bracelet length. But that's okay. I like kind of the versatility of that. They both are so comfy to wear. It's all the sweatshirt vibes. So I find that I grab them to wear around the house. I wear them out. you can dress it up, dress it down. It's just a really nice, versatile garment. I will say, if you are unsure of knitting with like the brushed Surrey alpaca and like the silk core and what that is like, one tip I have there is when knitting with the silk core, it doesn't have the same kind of give as, say, like a wool base will. I found that if I did kind of a scooping motion with my with my needles when I was stitching, that really helped me to maintain like a nice groove and a nice speed while knitting with it. So I thought I would share that. Try it, take it, leave it as you will. But yeah, like I love the fabric that this makes. This is my juniper version, and I also did not alternate skeins, and you can see that there is a slight difference in color, but it's honestly, like, it doesn't bother me, and I kind of like it, or not kind of, I do like it. I like that there's kind of like lighter and darker. That's fun. And it is really subtle. It's not anything that I would really pay attention to or look at. So it doesn't bother me at all. I really don't like alternating skeins, so Alicia doesn't typically alternate skeins ever. So yeah, let me show you what this looks like on the body standing up. And I've told you before, I do not have a lot of technical whatever. So this is what my outfit looks like standing up and around. You can see, like, I love the high-low hem and just how nice that is. And this is just a really nice, cozy outfit, and something that I grab for a lot. So there you go. And I added pockets to my Lawrence dress, inseam pockets, but I'll talk more about that in a second. So yeah. All right. So that's the Nebula sweater by Andrea Mowry. I believe she released this back in June. So it was before the fire happened here in our town. So I'm gonna take this off. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. I'm totally gonna make a third Nebula. I'm already planning. That's gonna be one of my fall knits. So I want to talk a little bit about the Lawrence dress, and then I'm going to get into what elements make me want to make multiples of a pattern. So this is the Lawrence dress by Helen's Closet. It is just a very straightforward tiered skirt flowy dress. This comes with different views. Like you can just do 2 tiers and have it be a shorter dress. You can do just do it as a top, like as a shirt by itself. There's the option for sleeve ruffles if you like ruffles on your sleeves. I just think it is a very classic, timeless looking dress, and it is an absolute joy to sew. It's got bust darts, this sharp, nice V-neck line, and like I said, it does not come with inseam pockets, but she puts in instructions of, if you want to add your own, you can add them in the top tier. And so every Lawrence dress I have sewn, I have added inseam pockets to. So these are the other versions of the Lawrence dress that I've sewn. This is the second Lawrence dress I sewed. It is with cotton from my local quilting shop, and it's a very nice quality cotton. It doesn't have that stiff feel that some quilting cottons have. I added a little personalized tag to this one. It also has inseam pockets here, but yeah, I really love this one. I love how the dark colors. I love the Southwest print. And I mean, layering, layering this dress is very easy with no sleeves. I mean, you can throw a pullover on, you can throw a cardigan on, you can wear a shawl with it. So it's just a really versatile garment. So, so this is the first one I sewed, and that's with cotton. This is the second one that I sewed with Merchant and Mills linen. And actually, whenever I was in North Carolina, I wore this dress into Black Mountain Yarn Shop for knit night whenever I was there. And so my friend Danny saw it and she asked what pattern it was and said she really liked it. So we decided to do a sew along together while I was in North Carolina. And so we decided to sew the Lawrence dress together. And I sewed this one. I'm definitely a neutral girl at heart. So this is with viscose linen knoll from U Fibers. And so you can see that this is a very drapey fabric. It's very drapey, and because of the length of the dress, it's quite a heavy garment too. So I actually decided to make a waist tie to wear with this one, and it just helps kind of hold the dress here at my waist so it's just not sagging and hanging down on me. And it is one of my favorite garments of all time, and the color makes it such a great palette to be able to pair with other things. So yeah, I love this dress a lot, and it's extra special because I was able to sew it with Danny. So let's talk a little bit about, obviously I love the Lawrence dress and I love the Nebula sweater. And I want to talk a little bit more about what, makes you maybe want to make multiples of a pattern. And whenever I started thinking about that, the obvious answer to me was, well, it really is a personal choice. It's a personal decision. I mean, what draws you to making multiples of a pattern? But as I was thinking about it, I was able to pull out 5 different elements that I noticed that show up thematically whenever I personally want to make a pattern over and over. And so these are the 5 elements that I came up with. First was the clarity of the pattern. I'm really looking for a clearly written pattern. The style of the garment that I'm making, the process of it, the fit of the finished product, and the creative inspiration that's sparked from the design. So those are the 5 different things, clarity of the pattern, the style of the garment itself, the process of making it, the fit of the finished product, and the creative inspiration that's sparked. So I figured I'd go through those 5 and just share with you kind of like my preferences, but I would, jot down those 5 elements and, answer for yourself, like what are things that I would look for in each of those 5 elements to, making repeats of a pattern. So clarity, specifically with the Nebula and the Lawrence dress, the clarity of the pattern and all patterns from Helen's Closet and from Andrea Mowry, they both are just, they're always clear and straightforward and easy to follow. And so that's something that I really appreciate. Even though, I have made garments before and everything, I really do appreciate a pattern that it feels like if I've never made a garment in my life, I could follow these instructions and be successful in making it. And I feel like, that clarity that's given in the patterns by, Andrea and Helen's Closet, just lends themselves to being clear but not overly complicated, and you know what I'm talking about. Like, there's patterns out there that can get overly wordy and confusing, And so we're walking that fine line of being clear yet concise and not too wordy or overly complicated. So these two designers, I think, really nail that every single time they publish something. For the style of a garment, for me to want to make multiples, I mean, if you haven't really picked up on, a theme here with Lawrence and Nebula, I really do enjoy a classic yet modern feel to an item. I like a timeless sort of, style, like something that's not super duper trendy. It should be comfortable, cozy, flowy. I mean, functional for sure. I want to feel like I can move in the garment and feel very comfortable while moving. So those are kind of the style elements that I, gravitate towards making multiples of. In the process, I am really looking for just all the joy and feeling like I can zen out, and where it's almost a meditative process, but it still keeps me engaged, where I'm not bored. But again, it's not overly complicated and I'm not having to look at a pattern super intensely. I can pick it up and I can put it down and pretty easily pick up where I left off. So that's, I am 100% a process maker at heart. And so, I mean, from start to finish, I want to, feel the fabric, feel the yarn, and smell the fiber contents. And, just, I really love cutting out dresses, ironing the fabric, labeling all of my sewing pieces, just everything from start to finish I really, really enjoy. So it's important to me, like if I'm gonna make multiples of something, I really want to enjoy that process so much that I don't mind doing it over and over again. So the next one is fit. I'm really, for me to make multiples of a pattern, the fit really needs to be on point, especially with a knitted garment. I mean, I knit Nebula, followed the patterns and instructions, didn't make any changes whatsoever, and the fit is perfect. I love it. The commitment that it takes to make a knitted item, I mean, you're committing at least a month of your time, if not more, to making a knitted garment. I mean, yeah, I really don't want to make something and it be, I kind of like it, I'm definitely not, I just will be, for me personally, I would be discouraged in making it again if it wasn't just 100% like checking all the boxes for me. Now, that said, I've definitely made things that don't fit 100% perfectly that I love, but I still wear them and I don't make multiples of them. So, that's something that I'm really looking for that, tips me towards making more than one or more than two even. And kind of the same thing with sewing, except for I'm a bit more flexible with sewing. I want the fit to be really close to perfect, because with sewing, I mean, it's a lot less of a time commitment. I mean, I can really, 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 really take my time and sew a dress in a week. And that's like really drawing out the process from start to finish. So, it's a bit easier for me to hack and make tweaks to get the fit closer and closer and closer to what I want, each iteration that I make. And like I said, less time commitment. So I'm not fully discouraged. Like if I make, say the Lawrence dress, if I make it and I want to like, oh, maybe next time I'll do the, bring the sides of the bodice in a little bit more, or maybe I'll shorten the length of this dress, things like that. Those changes are pretty easy to make and quick for the next version. So I tend to, I tend to be okay with sewing projects fitting as long as the fit is very, very close to what I like, I will still make multiples. And this, the Lawrence dress was one of those that I, picked my size. The very first version was that I put on, I absolutely loved. And so I've just kept going. And I don't really see myself stopping because it's such a fun sew and it's so comfortable to wear. And then the last that kind of brings me to the last element of creative inspiration. One of my favorite things in the whole world is taking the same pattern and seeing it in a different color. I mean, like the Nebula, here, like just seeing it in this juniper color versus, a taupe, the Lonely Bull. Same thing with the Lawrence dress, like gingham versus a fun Southwest print versus a solid. And then using different fibers too, like what does different yarn look like in this same pattern? What does different fiber content do to change the way that the design looks on the body? Like I've got 3 different versions of this dress. I've got cotton, linen, viscose, knoll, and linen. And how does that change the design and what it feels like wearing it? So when I see a design and I start thinking like, ooh, this dress would be pretty like in red or like in this fun print or what, then I know I'm gonna make multiples of them, and sometimes even before I make the first version. I think the Lawrence dress would be super cute in a light to midweight denim. That is on the docket for me at some point this fall, winter. I also am planning on a linen version, a solid color linen version soon. Yeah, it's just one of those, it's so fun to play with the different colors and textiles, and also with ease too. Knitting the Nebula was my first experience knitting a garment that had more than like 6 inches of positive ease. And I really, really love the fit of it. And I was honestly shocked. Like I had been afraid of knitting something with so much ease and just thinking that it would just look oversized and sloppy on me, and it doesn't. It's like, oh, it's got its own like vibe. So now I'm like, well, God, I could change the ease of something. Like this is a size 6 in the Lawrence dress, but I could sew a size 4 and see what that looks like. Or I could knit the Nebula in a size 2 and get a little bit less ease and see what that looks like. So now I'm like creatively playing with the ease element of a design too, which is super fun. And that's something that I hadn't done before, testing out and making the Nebula. So yeah, I think that that's really it. Like, what are some things that lend you towards making multiples of a pattern? And have you made multiples of a pattern before? Like, is there something that you just have on repeat on your needles, or that you sew over and over and over again? I think with sewing, the hinterland dress is another one that is just a great repeat sew, because there's just so many different versions you can do, and then all the hacks as well. So the hinterland dress is by Sew Liberated. So I think that's it. One thing I did want to mention before I move on to flock is, with my juniper sweater, I did want to share the inspiration behind picking this colorway. This is also Oh Dang DK. But I chose to make, I've wanted to make a juniper sweater for a while in memory of my best friend and pup, Trouble. She was a Jack Russell Terrier, and she passed not this past July, but the July before, and she rests under a juniper tree in our backyard. And this is her. She's tattooed on my arm. My good pal Trouble. And so I've wanted to make a juniper sweater in her memory for some time, and I just felt like the Nebula design was the perfect one because it is so cozy and it's like a warm hug. And so now, like, every time I wear this sweater, it really feels like I've got the, just that love from Trouble snuggled up all around me, and I can still feel her little nose snuggled up next to me every time I wear this. So all the feels. So yeah, that's a big reason why I chose that color. So yeah, the Flock Fiber Festival. I just wanted to share a little, just briefly, my thoughts on Flock here. I would like to know if you have questions about Flock Fiber Festival, because I was just like, man, what would I share? Like, it was just such an awesome experience. I really have no idea what I would say. And so I thought, instead of sitting here and rambling about Flock for a really long time and maybe talking about things that you're not interested in, what questions do you have about Flock Fiber Festival, or what it's like attending Flock? What questions do you have about my experience, and everything? Send me either a DM on Instagram if you want to send a question privately, or please feel free to comment on this video. And what I'm going to do is compile all the questions, and the next time I record, I will specifically answer questions about Flock. If I get no questions about Flock, then I won't talk about it in more detail. That's how it's gonna go. So I will say, though, I traveled with my sister-in-law to Seattle, and we attended the festival together and met up with other fiber friends and makers while we were there. And it was just amazing. It was so much fun hanging out with my sister-in-law. I found a CrossFit gym while I was there, and I dropped in and was able to make some new CrossFit buddies. It was just everything about it was so magical and amazing. The weather was great. I loved Seattle. The food was amazing. Of course, the coffee was amazing, and all the pastries were amazing. So it was just wonderful. I had such a great time. So I think that's all I'm really gonna say for now. I want to see if you have any specific questions, and everything, if you would like to know more. And I'm definitely planning on going next year. They've already put the dates out for Flock Fiber Festival for next year. So barring some major life event or crisis, I am going to go to Flock again next year because I had so much fun. And let's see, I wanted to show you, I do have, just a little bit of time here. I do want to show you a whip. So it's over here. Again, my lack of technical editing skills here, you get to see all of me moving around and all that. So hopefully you don't mind too much. So I wanted to share my progress on the Meander Sweater by Briana Arlene. Briana Arlene is a Colorado native, and she is a rock climber, and she is a new designer. She's been coming out with some killer designs. If you do not follow her on Instagram, you totally should. I am in love with this sweater. It is bottom up, and it uses Spencer's Daughter Sport. I'm using Mad Mardigan and Ranch Romance, one of my obsessions. I cannot take credit for this color combo. Candace uses it quite frequently. But I mean, I just kind of figured, why mess with perfection? I mean, this is such a perfect combo that I felt like it had all the Southwest vibes. And kind of after the fire, I've really been drawn to earth tones. So to me, this is kind of the earth and the water, and then the dress that I'm making to wear with this is another element. And I can't wait to sew the dress and finish this sweater and then be able to talk to you about that outfit and all the inspiration behind it. I really love the way that this is knitting up. And Briana, just to talk about her a little bit more, she's been designing some really amazing things. Like, she's got socks, hats, shawls, sweaters. Like, I mean, she has been killing it with some designs. So I really love the things that she makes, and I was just really, really honored to be able to test knit this for her. And you know how I said, like, I'd never alternate skeins and stuff. I'm actually alternating skeins on this one. I felt like it would really just like lend itself to the design to really showcase the tonal of the Ranch Romance. And you can, I'm really glad that I am going through the extra step of alternating skeins, so you can see kind of that nice, beautiful variation in the tonal of the Ranch Romance. So yeah, I'm super excited with how it's turning out. So that's my whip. I could show you. I've got, I think probably like a lot of people, I've got a lot of different whips that are going on. So I don't want to overwhelm you. Two, I don't want to bore you with all of the whips that I have going on. And so yeah, that's that. I do want to talk a little bit more in future episodes about like focusing in on whips in your making, because it is really easy to get that cast on itis, and want to cast on all of the things, especially whenever something really beautiful comes out. But I have some plans for like this fall and this winter to really just focus in on my making and prevent myself from feeling overwhelmed, like I need to make all the things, and just kind of create a nice protective bubble around my making space, if that makes sense. So I'm envisioning talking to you more about how do you focus on what projects really matter to you. So that's going to bring in values, as far as the psychological flexibility process from acceptance and commitment therapy. So we're going to connect to our values, and then also we're going to bring in some boundaries that will align with our values in making. So those are just some ideas I have swimming around in my head for next time. What else I've been doing making wise? I have finished up a test knit for Andrea. Really excited I need to block it, but I'm really excited about fully finishing that one up, and being able to put the outfit together for release day. And then I am doing another test knit for Andrea right now, and it is a lot of fun to knit, and I look forward to being able to show that one to you whenever it's finished. So this weekend I'm going to, my husband's running a trail race, and I'm gonna take the kids to the start finish. We're gonna do the kids dash together. My husband and I are gonna go on a run date on Sunday together, and I am working on a patchwork version of the skyline dress. And I'm also gonna do a hack where the little bow is tied in the front. So I'm really looking forward to exploring my creativity with that sew, and I'm gonna be knitting on my Meander sweater, and yeah, that's all the things I'm gonna be up to this weekend. What are you gonna be up to? That's it for me for today. Until next time, happy mindful making.